Those who know me know I am all about the grace. And those who know me well know that it's largely in part to if we were still under the weight and standard of the Old Testament laws and regulations with their stated consequences, I would have been stoned to death before I could legally drive. Even now, I feel more often than not like I give Paul a run for his money on that chief of sinners thing. So I'm all about the grace. Grateful for it. I appreciate it. But grace is not lawlessness. To embrace grace is to submit, to surrender to, and to pledge allegiance to the law of love. And I've been thinking about love a lot because the law of love is the message of grace. So I spend a lot of time meditating on that, writing about it, preaching about it, trying to access the grace to live it like I should. But here lately I've been looking at it even more because I've been talking with Leah a lot about it because she is getting ready to start tomorrow teaching a class called Blind Love, Becoming an Ambassador of Christ, all about real love in real action, the love that we can only give because of Christ by His grace, but the love that we are called to give. And I was thinking about it this morning because it popped into my head that recently, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, on social media, I saw a post that kind of sums up our reaction to love, our response to the way we're to love, that our natural instinct on love. And it was very simple. Don't cross oceans for people who wouldn't cross puddles for you. That's humanity's idea of love, because our natural tendency is to be selfish and self-centered. It is not our normal inclination to lay down our life for anyone. And even those who would gladly die for someone they care about find it difficult to live a life of service to that same person, because dying is quick and easy one time, whereas a life of service, that's a slow death, is how we look at it. And it's easy to say, hey, I'll love you if you're good to me back. If you at least appreciate it. I at least want some really good compliments or something, smile at me, say thank you. I did this and they didn't even appreciate it. Man, I do this every day and I don't even get anything. I'm tired of it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not getting anything for this. And that's with people that we interact with on a regular basis and somewhat care about. That doesn't even begin to address that. Oh, no. That person despises me and I despise that person, and I'm not going to cross the road. I wouldn't give them a bucket of water if they were on fire, because they are my enemy. And that's the way humanity treats love far too often. And isn't it so wonderful that our God is not like that? Romans 5 tells us that while we were yet sinners, when we didn't deserve the bucket of water while we were on fire, when we were despicable, disgusting, in the worst of our mess, God showed His love in Christ coming and dying for us in our place, loving us as we are, not as we should be, but loving us enough not to leave us in the mess we were in. It's awesome That's God's idea of love. Not demanding anything in return. Jesus died for you on Calvary, whether you ever say thank you or not. Whether you ever embrace the gift or not. It's there. It's done. A little bit further in Romans 5, it tells us that while we were enemies of God, it's not just that we were unappreciative or undeserving, we were outright enemies. We were reconciled to Him through the work of Christ, through the love of Christ. To reconcile means to be made friendly with, to be made to be able to coexist in harmony with. How hard is it for us to even look at somebody who looked at us bad yesterday with the idea of, I'll do whatever it takes to have harmony with that person? No, you look at me like that, man, forget you. You disrespect me. I'll be honest. I still struggle with this. It wasn't Tuesday night, somewhere in there. My old me wanted to go find this guy I know and drag him up out of his house and remind him that convicts don't disrespect each other like that. The grace of God was saying, aren't you glad I don't treat you like that? Aren't you glad that it's not about merit? It's not about whether or not you're willing to cross a puddle for me. I'll still cross the ocean. Yes, Lord. Yes. So what we're called to do is to do exactly the opposite of what that meme said. Cross the oceans. Climb the mountains. Pick up the load. Smile at the sneer. Bless at the curse. Give with rejoicing to the unthankful, ungrateful, unappreciative person. To those who don't deserve, be a demonstration of the love and grace that gave us everything we needed for life when we didn't deserve it. But choosing to do that, deciding that sounds good, knowing that's the right thing to do, will not enable us to do it. That's what grace is about. Grace is about the power to do what we can't do, which is to love like Jesus. And we can do it, not because of what's our will or anything like that, but because of what Jesus did on the cross. Because His rightness and His power has become a part of who we are as the Spirit indwells within us and seals us as a newly formed, newly born child of God. We can walk in love because He crossed everything on the cross for us before we ever even thought about being appreciative. Before we ever even came close to saying, okay, I'll do something for you too. He first loved us. That's what this is about. So let's come and thank Him. Remember what He did. Remember that He doesn't demand that we love Him the way that He loved us, because if He did, we would all be in trouble. But He enables us to love Him and each other the way He loved us, because He loves us as we are. He died for us as we are. But He loves us enough to transform us into more than we could ever be on our own and not leave us as we are.